Welcome everyone to the show. I am your host, Don Vic. You already know we in the building, baby. What's going on? What's going on, everyone? What's going on? Merry Christmas to everybody, by the way. I hope you guys are having a great Christmas, a great holiday, and everything else that comes with this. You know what I mean? So, real quick, I just want to say how grateful and thankful I am for you guys, all the guests that's been on my show. I just want to say how great you guys have been. And I want to thank you guys for taking an hour of your time to come on the show and tell me and you and the viewers and the fans a little bit about yourself and what you do. So thank you guys so much for coming on the show and being guests here. But as you guys know, the show must go on, right? So anyway, um, I do have a guest coming on the show. David Peace, actor and director, has an amazing story to tell, but we having problems with his device on getting on the show. So I'm giving him some time to see if we can get his device going, to see if we can get him on the show. If not, we're gonna have to reschedule and bring him back. But I'm really, really hoping that he can get his device going so we can get him on the show. Because this guy has something to say about Marilyn Monroe, his uncle that had to do stuff with Walt Disney and how he created stuff for Walt Disney. So it's a very interesting story um, that he has gotten from a third party, from his family and stuff that told him some of the story that he knows and he's about to say here on the show. We don't know yet if he gets to come on the show. Then we'll talk about it. But if not, then we'll reschedule and we'll get him back on the show. But meanwhile, I just want to sit here and congratulate everybody for their effort, in pushing forward in their dreams, whatever it is that you're doing. If you're becoming an actor, actress, comedian, an author, you know, um, and a paranormal investigator, whatever it is that you're doing, I'm going to say this: keep pushing. Don't let nothing come in between your dream. Anything in life is possible as long as you put 100% into it, and make sure you have no distractions, and know that distractions are going to come when you're moving forward with something positive. Because the devil likes to strike when you're doing good things and you're helping people. So expect that. Expect um, negativity to come your way. Expect um, certain bumps in your career to happen because it's gonna come. Especially haters. Expect the haters. Don't be surprised. With the haters, because the haters got to be. If you ain't got no haters, then you ain't doing nothing. Okay, facts. What's up, Anthony? My man, 50 grand. Merry Christmas to you and your family. You heard? You working, you pushing in the okay, you getting that cheddar. Okay, that's what's up. So, folks, it's a new year coming, 2023. So, whatever you didn't get to do this year, you can finish next year. Again, working in our career, it's never easy. And it takes a long time to build up, so don't be discouraged, just keep pushing. Keep pushing till you get where you want to get to. Okay. Um, get to the finish line and see what you have accomplished from when you started to where you are going to end up. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Halo, what's up? Same to you. Same to you. Big shout out to the Paramour team from the V team. Big shout out. Big shout out. You guys are awesome. You need to hear this? Well, that's what I'm saying, baby. This is the Don Vic show, baby. Ain't no show like the Don Vic show. And if you ain't been on this show, well, I don't know where you been. Facts. Okay. This is the show where everything happens. Okay. What's up, Lisa Marie? Merry Christmas. Love you, girl. Keep pushing. You heard? Another paranormal investigator. So big shout out to paranormal investigators around the world, because I know so many. Big shout out to the paranormal investigators out in the UK, the Ghost Whispers, Ghost Hunters. A big shout out to you guys out in the UK, and big shout out to everyone else that I know that's been on my show, and everyone that I don't know that know about my show. Big shout out to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing a great job. So guys, 2023 is coming, and you know, um, for a lot of us, we haven't finished completing our goals this year. Just overlap it to next year, and try to finish what it is that you started. Don't leave nothing halfway, because then you're going to regret it and wonder where you would have been if you would have finished it. So I learned that the hard way. So now everything I do, I try to finish it to the end and see what my results are. Okay, because it's important, to know how far you can get. Um, and make sure you have a positive team behind you, um, that's willing to help you go move forward. If you don't have that team, then you can either find one, or if you feel good doing it yourself, then so be it. But the key to this is to move forward. And I just want to congratulate everyone that's been on my show and that's have moved forward, and created their own little world, um, and are doing great. And it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy. It's not easy because I built this platform. I built this platform like 2 years ago. I'm going on my third year with this platform, and the reason why I say what I say is because um, when I first started, I started slow, right? I started slow, just getting interviews from my buddies from around the corners, rappers that I knew, because I was in the music industry, so in the music business. So I started just interviewing people around my way and people that I knew that were doing local shows and stuff like that. And what I've noticed when I was doing it is that I was getting a lot of feedback from a lot of the viewers. So I said, you know what? Let me keep doing this and see where I can take this. And unfortunately, people, I started doing it and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And I pushed so hard that this is where I'm at today. I met amazing people through my journey. And I went from I went from interviewing local to celebrity boxers to Hollywood directors, actors, to paranormal investigators, comedians, um, all types of people on my show. And that's because I kept pushing to see how far I can go. And and not to brag, because I don't like to brag about anything, but just to give you guys um an insight of where you can go, and people you can meet if you keep pushing. Okay. So in my journey, I've met rappers. I met my son. I don't know if you guys know my son. He's a big artist out of New York. I met Candy from the Love of Hip Hop. I met who else? I met Richard Pryor Jr. I've met Tretch from Naughty by Nature. I met Kid and Play. I met Renee Garciano from the Love of Hip Hop. Harley Garciano also from the Love of Hip Hop. I met Doug Jones out in California. He played in the movie Star Trek. I met so many, and that's just a few. That's like 8, 9 people, stars that I've just mentioned. But those are things that I um, dreamed of when I was little. You know, I always dreamed about being in the music or in the filming industry. And when I started this, you know, I didn't even know I was going to get to where I'm at today. To tell you the truth, guys, but my ambitious, my ambition, you know, to my ambition to get to these um to these places and to meet these people have came true. You know, I pushed so hard So so it opened doors for me. I'm also an actor. Some of you guys know I'm an actor, and I've been in a few films, not nothing major, but one of the films been called in for the Oscars. So I'm hoping that what I mean, we can go to the Oscars. But this is what I'm saying: if you believe in your dream, if you believe in what you're doing, man, you can go places and you can meet amazing people from around the world and even get connected to other people where you can get into other projects, you know. And because I've done this, I've been um, to invited to great galas, events. I've been to movie premieres, and I've met so many people that are in the industry, and I have them on my show, and you know, my show is a show for everyone, right? And the reason why I like my show, not just because it's my show, but because I like when people come on my show and they feel comfortable and they open up, and they start telling me stories that they might not tell the next person because I make them feel that comfortable. And that's what it's all about. I want people to feel comfortable and when they come on my show so they can open up and tell their story, and not just that, but I also help people promote them on my page and all my platforms. I connect them to other talk show hosts that I know. So big shout out to Mike Wagner show, Rebecca Mahan show, Wendy Stewart, um, that I have met, and I'm bringing her on the show after the holidays. Hopefully, if she's not busy. I know she's busy. Um, Maria Peranza from Las Vegas. She has a show, the View. I think it's called View Show, something like that. And um, Nicole Vegas, which is also a good friend of mine. She's an actress and she's a talk show host. We have man, Kay Shoya from Brooklyn, Virgo G from iHeartRadio, my man Eddie Verato from Chicago, Brandy Martin from Chicago. Um, wow, so many talk show hosts that I know, and that I can plug people to get on those platforms as well and grow, and grow, whatever it is that you're doing, your project, your film, your book, whatever it is that you have, I can help promote, and so that's the beauty of this platform that I created for you guys, the viewers and the fans, and and everyone else. And I just been grateful that I've had so many people around the world reach out to me. Nigeria is one of the countries that support me the most, and I want to send Nigeria a big shout out and Merry Christmas to Nigeria and every other country that support the Don Vic Show. You know what I mean? And guys, so this is where you want to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of good podcasts out there, and big shout out to everyone that's doing their thing out there. Um, but my show is different, man. I think my show is unique, and you ain't got no character like me. I'm a character, you know what I mean? Besides being a host, I'm a good guy. I'm funny. I like to make people laugh when I can, and I love people to come on my show and enjoy themselves besides telling me their story, so um I'm just grateful for having everyone on my show. And for 2023, I'm already booking people to come on the show. I have Victoria from she's from Cool Waters out in Florida. She's an actress. I just spoke to her today. We're gonna send her some dates to bring on the show. Boy, she has a story to tell, boy. Ooh, boy, oh boy. I can't wait for Victoria to come on the show. I got another actor, Jesus, from I think he's from Florida as well. He's coming on the show. We're gonna send him some dates so he can come on the show. Can't wait to talk to Jesus. Big shout out to Jesus and Victoria. And we have Bree Burke. She's is woo boy, she's a hot model and she's an actress. Sent her a message, and She replied. She said she'll love to come on the show. So I have three people already coming in for the New Year's to open up the show this year. Yeah, this year coming. So I'm excited. I can't wait to hear these people's story and know what they're doing, what feature films they've been in or working on, and and also talk behind what goes on behind some of these production teams. Not all the time is gravy. You know what I mean? Not not every time. You're gonna go there and have time. There's stories behind stories. Okay, so make sure you guys tune in and check out the show. I can't wait to talk to Victoria. She seems so outgoing and hilarious. Can't wait to talk to her. So people tune in. There's a lot of stuff going on for me this year. Uh, starting January, the beginning of the year, I'm already going to an event out in Baltimore with my friend Bella Levy. She is throwing a gala. Um, she's having models, she's having music, she's having speakers, she's having music, she's having all this talent coming to this gala. It's going to be a great, great, great event, and you already know I'm gonna be in the building. Okay, I'm gonna be in the building. So anyone that wants to see the Don Vic show in the Baltimore area or Virginia area or any area around there, make sure you come to the gala. You can see me live. Okay. Make sure you bring your pens to get my autograph because you never know when you're going to see me again. Okay. But I do go to events. I try to make it to the big, big, big events. Um, because, see, people, if you're in this industry, right, you can't expect things to happen if you're sitting in your nest and you're waiting for your mama to bring you back that worm and grow. You got to be able, if your wings can flap and you can fly, then you need to leave that nest and start flying and see where you can go and where you can get into, you know, to be able to grow. Um, and I always say that to everybody. If you're in this type of industry, even if you're an actor, you got to go out there. You got to be a go getter. You got to go to some of these movie premieres. But I get it. I know money's tight for people. It's tight for me. Please, for real, money's tight for me too. I get it. I got bills up the yang yang. Okay. But if there's an event that you really want to go to, give yourself some time. Give yourself at least 3, 4 months, ahead of time so you can start saving and get your ticket and get your hotel, stuff like that, if that's what you need to do. So that way when time comes, everything's already paid for and you're ahead of the game. You know what I mean? Don't wait till like a month later or 3 weeks later and you ain't done anything. Now you're running around crazy, not knowing if you'll be able to make it. So give yourself some time, you know. What's up, Portal to the Paranormal? Merry Christmas to you. And D, my queen. I love this woman to death. I ain't even met her yet, and I love her to death. Our conversations are so beautiful. I felt like I known Andy for years, and she lives 2 hours away from me. So this summer, I'm hoping to meet up with her. Maybe we can put a project together, work on the project. So, you know, and she has a series on YouTube called Grams. You got to check it out. It's hilarious. She's like a comedian in the movie, but she's so dope. I love her to death. Kisses to you, Andy. I love you to death. So, people, the name of the game is to be able to push yourself to the next level. And you need to do that by, like I said, you got to leave your nest. You got to be able to go to certain events and show your presence, be known, have your business card, say, hey, here's who I am. I have a talk show, whatever it is that you're doing, or a director, or actor, I'm looking for work or I want to be on your show, whatever it is. But you need to be in these events so that people can see your face and people start talking about you. And you start, next minute, you start to spread out. And you ain't even in some of these locations, right? Or some of these states or countries, and people are starting to hear who you are, right? And and I say that because that's what's happening to me, right? A lot of people know the show, but don't know who I am. Um, or they see me when they come on the show or they hear about it, but from word of mouth. And word, trust me, word of mouth travels with people. It's like gossip. It's like gossip. So, if you're putting yourself out there and you're pushing, eventually people are going to know who you are, and other doors will open for you. What's up, Raymond, my brother, man? Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Love these guys. Listen, I love the paranormal. I love the paranormal team, man. These guys are awesome. And for some of you guys that haven't seen the paranormal investigators, man, go to Parapost Network and you can see all these guys and much more investigators worldwide on that page. And I'm on that page, even though I'm not a paranormal investigator, but that's because the creator of that page, my brother Brian Lardy, um, saw my show, and this is what I'm telling you guys. He saw my show, and he's been trying to get me on his show, but I didn't know till he finally connected with me, and he said, "Listen, I love your show. I love your energy. I love your guests because you talk to so many people, and I would love to have you on my platform." And he said, my platform is about paranormal investigators. I said, yeah, but I'm not a paranormal investigator. He goes, it don't matter. I just love your show. I love who you are. I love your personality. You are people's people. And long story short, he put me on his program and I'm there. And this is how I know all these paranormal teams. And some of them been on my show. I got a lot more to bring on my show. And they're very interesting. Every investigator has similar stories, but something in between is different. And some of them, do certain things different, use different devices. But the key to this is what's on the other side, right? What's on the other side that most of us don't know, and most of us don't believe in it, right? So a lot of people don't believe in the paranormal world. So we got these guys, these professionals going out there putting their life on the line because that's dangerous. I'm gonna tell you that's dangerous. Putting their life on the line to bring us people, you know, um, uh, recordings and voices of the unknown. So to make those that don't believe believers, you know what I mean? Well, yeah, Jonathan. He has the link. All he has to do is log in the link. Hold on. Give me one second, guys. Let me send David another link. Let me send him another link. Okay. Remind me, guys. I don't have my glasses. Okay. So I send David another link. Hopefully he can get on and we can bring him on the show. So where was I? Courtney, well, how you doing, Courtney? I hope things are getting better for you. Thank you for logging in and Merry Christmas to you. You heard? And I'm always here for you if you need to talk. You got my number. You can call me. We can talk if you need to talk. Okay, I'm here for you. Yeah, Jonathan. I just sent him a link, so hopefully he get it and maybe he can link onto it. Hi, Sabrina, my queen, Sabrina. Sabrina had a very interesting story um, when we met, and she came on my show and because of Jennifer Dawn, great friend of mine. Big shout out to Jennifer Dawn and Merry Christmas to her. And send her over to me and brought her on the show. and she has an amazing book. She got plenty of books, but she's an amazing person, and she came on the show, and we did the interview, and through my show, she connected with other great people. So I'm just glad that I can help out, and help her expand through other channels, and link up with other podcasts so she can expand, and be able to get more book sales, you know, through internet, as well as, she got Walmart. Her book is out in Walmart, so big shout out to her and congratulations to Sabrina. And but this is what I'm saying, people. You got to push, push, push. Yes. Back out of the line. Fee, go back into it, and if you have a fresh request to join, um, hold on, Jonathan. Let me see. Give me 1 second, Jonathan. I sent the request to hold on. I'm having problems getting to David. Let me see if I can get Jonathan, because Jonathan sent me something, but he didn't pop up on my thing. Oh, okay, I see him. Okay, Jonathan, I got you. Got you, brother. Good. So I got Jonathan online. So I sent Jonathan the request. Hopefully I can get David on there. So uh yeah, Sabrina, I think he's gonna come on through Jonathan, his friend's device. I am the king. You are the queen. Thank you, Sabrina. You're awesome. You always got sweet things to say. Okay, so I just added you. I just sent you the link, Jonathan. Okay. I just sent you the link. Checks notification, David. Yeah, so we're just gonna wait to see if he pops up. So give me 1 second. And I'm just getting texts from people trying to log in on the show. So again, people, uh so I got great guests coming on for 2023. And anyone that wants to come on the show, that wants to um book a date, just inbox me, and tell me a little bit about yourself. If you got a bio, send me your bio. I can read it, and then I can, once I read it, I can send you a date to come on the show. If you're an actor director, then that's no question to bring you on the show. Um, but you know, these are the opportunities that I want to give people, is to be able to come on the show, promote you, talk about your movie, talk about your book, talk about I don't know, your upcoming projects, and what are you getting into. If you have uh something that you've been through in your life, like domestic violence, anything like that, and you got through it, you can come on the show. We can talk about that, because there's plenty of people that will want to know how you overcame it, how you overcame that, and exactly what steps did you take. Because there's a lot of people out there that are probably going through it and have no idea how to go about it. So if your story is a successful story, come on the show and we can talk about it. Okay, give me a second. I have David here. Um, We're gonna bring him on the show. So, people, yeah. So please welcome everyone. We have David Peace, all the way from Florida, and we're gonna talk to him and find out what his story is. Okay, so give me 1 second, people. Please welcome David Peace.
Hi there.
David, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, brother?
What's
I'm
going
down
on?
here in beautiful South Miami Beach with
Okay.
my Aunt Marilyn Monroe's pink Miami t-shirt on.
Okay.
And we have pink flamingos. We have pink projects out there. And we just ate at the pink taco last night.
That's awesome. Welcome to the show. We had, got a lot of guests.
All right. I'm sorry we had so much difficulty, with our phones. But I got two or three phones going at once. I'm going to end this one. And we're going to go live on my buddy Jonathan Shin's phone here, where we're live and in person.
Okay, cool. So you want to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is David Peace. I'm from Locker Center, California. My grandfather, Jack Stubbs, was a prolific pioneering motion picture director. He's the little credits in the back of the movie that no one reads. The creator of the projects. You see, my grandfather was best friends with Walt Disney. I'm sure you've all heard of him. And best friends with Mickey Rooney, the voices of Disney, over 400 Disney characters.
Oh, wow.
And my grandfather was pals with Mickey. And he was his talent manager and booking agent for years. They used to go around with Mickey's grand piano and book shows in the big ballrooms in Vegas, in New York and Manhattan on 42nd Avenue in the theater district and that. And so all the big players from my royal pioneering Hollywood family would show up. The Rat Pack and Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Bob Hope, guys like Jimmy Durante would show up, Elizabeth Taylor, Joe DiMaggio, the President of the United States. People would show up to these shows on the red carpet, and they would all have steak and lobster together.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So my grandfather was a very important man, you see. He created pioneering events in Hollywood that have created gainful employment for the entire entertainment community year in and year out for the past 100 years, as the trio's projects date all the way back to the Charlie Chaplin days.
Okay.
To give you an example, Tor, the original bombing of Pearl Harbor, an American movie classic. That film, he worked hand in hand. He was unit production manager on that film. And he worked hand in hand with a prolific Asian film director from Japan, and Akira Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa's entitlement was the Emperor of Motion Pictures. He worked hand in hand with another Japanese filmographer and director, Honda. And the two created the original Godzilla films out of Japan. You may recall they were standing in, suits. These were people in suits in like a Legoland. And so, they had to have a certain camera angle and special effects, which was created to be this big fire-breathing lizard monster. So those types of events inspired other, blockbuster motion picture directors to create their projects. For instance, Steven Spielberg looked at Tor. They're going to look at this film first before they create theirs, because it's the most accurate war film ever created on the books. So you got guys like Spielberg who are looking at this film so they can create another fabulous, accurate war film in Saving Private Ryan with Tom Hanks. Anyone who makes a war film looks at Tor first before they create their project, you see. So when I say pioneering events, they created pioneering events. I'll give you another example. My grandfather created Captain America, an international pioneering event. That's a picture that you change the language, you send the picture to another country, and they make more money in the profits in the box office. And he told me, grandson, he says, this guy, Reb Brown, who portrayed Captain America in 1969, He said this fellow, he said, every day I would drive into the studios on one of my television projects, well, whether it was Columbo or Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea or Maverick with James Garn or, Bionic Woman with Lindsay Wagner or The $6 Million Man, one of the projects I was working on. He said that then I would see this fellow, Red Brown, parading up and down Hollywood and Sunset, arrayed in a Captain America's uniform and a makeshift shield, acting like Captain America. So I like what you were saying earlier before in your show. You have to keep pushing and push forward. This fellow, Red Brown, danced about on Hollywood Boulevard, and my grandfather recognized that, and it inspired him. He says, grandson, that guy inspired me. So I went out and got the guy. And so it goes, the canon was born for the Marvel Comics series. Wow. Once again, an international pioneering event. Captain America, again, you send the picture to another country, change the language, they make more money and profits in the box office.
Right.
Fabulous projects. And it's very interesting. I'm a very unique individual in that I have two grandfathers. You see, my grandmother, June Stubbs, her father, Oscar Theodore Jackman, was a famous oil painter. And it was very popular for people to get sponsored over to Paris, France, with which to paint, go to art school and paint oil paintings.
Right.
So my grandfather came back. He met my grandmother, Violet, who was from Austria. And they came and met each other in Paris, France, and they were married under the Tower Eiffel. And so it goes, they were sponsored back to New York to the Arts District, and then on to Laguna Beach to the Arts District. And my grandfather had an asthmatic condition. So he moved to a world-renowned area in Tujunga, La Crescenta, which is in the foothills of Los Angeles. And it's a renowned area for people with asthma conditions from all over the world. They moved there. Something about the environment of the foothills there. So I ended up growing up. And what's interesting about that is there's a lot of pioneering families that grew up I'm 51 years old. So during that time, there's a bunch of motion picture families that I went to high school with.
Right.
Most of my friends that aren't dead or in prison, they're in motion pictures in some form or fashion.
Right.
My grandfather, my great-grandfather, Theodore Jackman, he used to like to frequent the bullfights in Mexico and paint pictures, very elaborate pictures of the matadors and the beautiful Mexican women in their very elaborate dresses and things. Yeah. So one day in 1934, he's sitting outside of the bullfight, and all the big shots go to the bullfights. And it just so happens that Presidente Cardenas of Mexico was walking out and saw my grandfather with his easel. And he said, hey, Theodore, those are some really cool paintings. Would you like to paint a couple of those pictures for the Mexican presidential palace? Mm. And so it goes, my great-grandfather's oil paintings still adorn the interior of the Mexican presidential palace to this day. So my great-grandfather had a very healthy relationship with the people of Mexico, awesome. In particular, Presidente Cardenas in 1934.
Wow.
So that was my great-grandfather, my grandmother June's father. So my grandmother grew up in Glendale, California, in my hometown, about 10 minutes from Dodger Stadium, and Hollywood's just right over the hill there. She was swept off of her feet by my biological grandfather, Marvin Bailey. Marvin Bailey was an actor and soundtrack on a big band song and dance routine entitled The Six Hits and a Miss. Back in the 30s and 40s, all the black and white movies, there was a lot of big song and dance routines, if you recollect.
Right. Yeah.
And my grandfather was the big band song and dance routine, Six Hits and a Miss. They used to appear on the Bob Hope Pepsi Tonight Show back when it was radio, before television was invented. They were on the Decca record label, the same record label as Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. Right. The same promoters, the Gambino family from New York, the biggest promoters in the world. And Joe Isgro, they created the movie Hoffa with Danny DeVito and Jack Nicholson, if you'll recollect the Gambino family. So my grandfathers and my family have been on the books since before I was born. You see, they did duets with Jimmy Durante in Inka Dinka Doo and Umbriago. If you actually watch the video of Inka Dinka Doo, it has fabulous celebrities in there, and it also has a picture of my Aunt Marilyn Monroe kissing his big schnoz in the video. Jimmy Durante, yeah. You know,
Hey,
a
hey,
music and
hey, hey.
entertainment extravaganza. Yes, you
Yes,
gotta love Jimmy Durante,
we
right?
gotta.
Oh yeah, he was fabulous. You know,
So,
he mixed comedy and slapstick in with the big players. You know, Elvis Presley, Liberace, Marilyn Monroe, Frank Sinatra. Everyone was on the show.
so is this
So,
is was your was that something your grandfather wanted to do? Was become a filmmaker?
well, my grandfather was an actor and soundtrack. You know, he
Okay.
did a lot of song and dance routines. He was the
Okay.
front man for the Six Hits and a Miss.
Right.
It went from the three hits and a miss, meaning three men and a woman, Lorraine Page, and they went through a couple of misses as well along the way, to the four hits and a miss, and eventually the six hits and a miss. Excuse me. And they were used in filmography with the Marx Brothers. You remember Groucho with the big cigar?
Yeah.
You know, they made the world laugh hysterically.
Yes.
They were also in a movie entitlement, Keep 'em Flying, in a bunch of Abbott and Costello films. Who's on
Wow.
First? You remember those guys?
I love Costello. I was a fan of them.
Yeah, you gotta love them.
Yes.
So they were in a movie as they used to come and travel with Bob Hope in the USO and entertain the troops in World War II.
Okay.
So they were the big band song and dance routine. Lorraine Page was, you know, the Marilyn Monroe, the 20s and 30s. You know, all the troops. They're over there in Japan, and even Bob Hope was, he was a comedian. So when he got on stage one day, the Japanese tried to bomb the hotel that my grandfather, Bob Hope, and all the entertainers were in.
Wow.
But they missed. They bombed and blew up the hotel next door to theirs.
Ooh,
So
wow.
Bob got up on the stage the next day and he says, yeah, he says, you know, the Japanese tried to kill us last night, but they missed. Yeah, so my grandfather's history goes way back. That's my biological grandfather. But you see, he worked hand in hand with Jack, Marion, the Rat Pack, Jimmy Durante. They were like a big royal, pioneering Hollywood family. We all worked together.
Right.
So my grandfather did some big projects, Abbott Costello, in particular a film entitled Keep 'em Flying in I want to say 43 or 44. It was an Abbott Costello film. And it was about the theme of the baby boomers and people joining of the military back then. And it was a movie about Abbott Costello joining the Army. And so there was a scene inside the USO building in the movie with which they panned in, and it was the Six Hits and a Miss doing a live music and entertainment show. And my grandfather Marvin's face was plastered right on the front of the screen there. So yes, so he's an actor and soundtrack. So what happened with him was he was an alcoholic. And I'm very big on recovery. I believe on recovery, and AA is my catalyst. Big on recovery. And because there's been some tragic events that have happened in my life in rapid succession directly because of alcohol. My grandfather, Marvin, he was an alcoholic. He had cirrhosis of the liver. And unfortunately, he passed away 1 year prior to my birth. So I was unable to meet him. So my grandmother remarried her high school sweetheart, Jack Stubbs, prolific pioneering motion picture director. I called him my papa, and he called me honey. So that's why I go by Honey Hollywood, because he'd say, hey, honey, okay, let's go up here and get some motorcycle parts for your bike or whatever. He called me honey, wherever with which we went. Come on, honey, let's go. I was his honey. So he was my grandpa, my papa, the only grandfather I ever knew. And he took me under his wing. And on Marvin's deathbed, as they both worked together, the two men had an oath. The oath was to create me into a primetime actor. And it was all set, it was all arranged, and all this was to come about when I was 12 years old. My grandfather knew all the producers of Silver Spoons, starring Ricky Schroder. And what he was going to do is he was going to cast me on Ricky Schroder and slingshot my acting career off of that show. And he was going to create entirely new family projects similar to Silver Spoons. And his vision was to cast all of my friends from high school on the show.
Wow.
However, my father was an animal. He worked, he was associated with a lot of motorcycle clubs that I won't mention. But he was an animal. He was an alcoholic. He used to beat my mom, come steal from her slender pocketbook in the middle of the night.
Oh, wow.
She had to work 2 and 3 shifts at Bob's Big Boy to support me. and my sister there. And my dad was he wasn't a good guy. And he told me stories about how he used to ride around in this pink Cadillac all over Los Angeles and used to run women through the Kennedys. So that's who my father was.
Wow.
And he wasn't a good guy. So he met this woman whose husband was the salesman of a 3-man team that created and invented what you see now is your conventional stand-up freezers in all of your grocery stores all over the world and liquor stores. You used to have to get a pop and reach down and get a Pepsi machine.
Yeah.
The stand-up freezer.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad had a bad, bad marriage. He broke up with my mom. She left him. He was an animal. He was abusive. So obviously she's going to leave. And so he was soured by the relationship and stepped away from the motion picture business. And what he did was he's like, well, I got this woman. I got all her money. I don't need you people. And my son's not going to be, pardon my French, but a pussy actor. And if you do try to cast him on silver spoons, I'm going to come up there with all of my biker friends to your home, 100 bikes deep, and we're going to hog tie you and burn the house down with you alive in there.
Oh, my goodness.
So you see, my chance vanished. And as my chance vanished at that moment, I think, that it interfered with not only my acting career, and it would have been the crown jewel of my grandfather's pioneering motion picture projects. You see, because not only did it interfere with my career, but it would have, all the other actors and actresses that would have stemmed from the show, projects and developments that would have happened in Hollywood.
Right.
You see, so that decision changed a lot of things in Hollywood. My grandfather was a member of the Masonic Lodge. He was a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. He was a mathematical genius. The people in the Masonic Lodge are men of renown that build all of the infrastructure and architecture of what you see in the world.
Wow.
So they're fabulous people. They also spend $1.5 million per day with which to fund their Shriners Children's Hospitals that they founded. So if a kid gets burned in a house fire or something, he needs skin grafts over a period of time, it's free. So the Freemasons, they're wonderful men. And as they're architects of things that you see everywhere, my grandfather used his studies in the Masonic Lodge with which to architect Hollywood and create the pioneering events that he did. All these pioneering events that he did have ensured gainful employment for the entire entertainment community for the past 100 years. As like I said, my grandfather, Walt Disney, Mickey Rooney, their projects date all the way back to the Charlie Chaplin days. So you see, he's the little credit in the back of the movie that creates the project that you never read because you're always looking at the A-listers in the movie.
Right. I'm pretty sure a lot of people do that. A lot of people just read the front. They don't read the back.
Right. Well, to give you an example, the 7-Year Itch with my Aunt Marilyn Monroe. My grandfather served in props on that film. And he decided he was going to bolster Marilyn's career. So he engineered the whole scenario of the subway grate and the white dress. He hand-picked the white dress and was even standing in the subway prop blowing up the dress as they shot the scene.
Oh, wow.
That's who my grandfather was. To give you another example, Elizabeth Taylor was on the lot. They weren't going to hire her. They said she was too fat.
Oh, wow.
And my grandfather says, no, that's my actress. She's getting the part. That's who my grandfather was. That little credit in the back that you don't read that's on the lot that creates the project.
That's amazing.
My grandfather was a very important man. And, motion pictures, the way they work is they instill a certain ideology into the consciousness of society. When kids watch Spider-Man, what do they want to do? They want to crawl walls. They want to get up in trees and things, right?
Yeah,
they want to be like their hero.
That's right.
You see, so motion pictures is very connected to governments and things. And, governments would tell my grandfather, Jack, we want you to make a movie like this because we want the people to think and act a certain way. And my grandfather would do it. That's what he did. He didn't get credit for a lot of the things, all the things that he did. He never got credit. Everyone in Hollywood's jawing at the bit to get to the top. They don't care whose toes they step on, who they lie, cheat, steal, rob, kill, steal, or destroy to get what they want, and they want it right now. Wow. You see, the delicious freeze, my grandfather's the creator of that. Have you ever heard anyone, Victor, Don Vic, have you ever heard anyone, hey, who's the cat who did that? No. Who's the guy who picked out the dress? No. Who's the guy who engineered the whole project?
No, never.
Have you ever heard one time anybody say, who's the guy who did that?
No.
Why? Because everyone wants to capitalize off of my grandfather's projects and not give him any credit for what he's done.
Credit or royalties for anything that he's done?
No, just credit.
That's correct.
Hey, we're in a Chinese print shop in a sweatshop over in China. We're printing these T-shirts here. We're selling the image, but we want credit for it. We want you to buy our T-shirt, and we don't want to tell you who created it.
Wow.
So you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Everyone join at the bit to the top, and they don't care whose toes they step on because they want what they want right now.
Right.
But you see, I'm his grandson, the last of the Mohicans, one of them. And if you will, I'm here to get my grandfather his credit that he deserves. And that's what I'm all about.
Right. And you know what? It's there's a lot of shady stuff that happens behind the scene in Hollywood that people don't really talk about. And I'm glad that you're here on my show and you're talking about it, and saying all these great things that your grandfather did. And because I'm sure 99% of the people don't have no idea who your grandfather is or what he's done or created.
The little credit in the back that no one reads.
Right. But
he was best friends with Walt Disney. However, Walt was more on the animation side of it. My grandfather, working with Akira, picked up some things, Akira Kurosawa, and they created Godzilla and that back. That original artwork, my grandfather specialized in art direction. In 1955, there was a film titled Love is a Many Splendid Thing with William Holden and Jennifer Jones. He was nominated for an Oscar for Best Art Director. That film was nominated for 6, won 5, including 3 Oscars. He's the only one that didn't get an Oscar for the project. So imagine all of his projects, and he didn't get an Oscar. But he did get nominated for an Oscar in that film. So to give you an example, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, the old ape films.
Oh, wow. I love that, David.
Right.
I seen them all, I think.
What he did with his hands was create all the moldings and suits for all the extras, all the gorilla suits.
Wow.
That's what he did. He also worked on the $6 Million Man and the Bigfoot episodes where Andre the Giant portrayed Bigfoot. He created the Bigfoot suit that Andre the Giant wore. He worked on the Invisible Man, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Oh, my goodness.
The nuclear submarine. Yes, that was his nuclear sub. And they worked on every episode. They would go, underneath the ocean and get these sea monsters and things. And the theme of that project was it's top secret. So a lot of his projects were top secret, sir. And had a theme, top secret. So all of his projects are top secret. That's what I'm revealing today is top secret projects. And I would like to go on about my Aunt Marilyn Monroe. You see, there's a lot of controversy about where she came from, who she was. She went to these boarding schools and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm getting this from third-party information. I wasn't born until 1971, and Marilyn was passed away by then. However, during private conversations during the holidays, like Christmas and Thanksgiving, we would sit down at the table with my grandfather and my grandmother and my mother, Susan. And mind you, Mickey Rooney, his best friend, was dating Marilyn Monroe in 1949. Wow. So they were all best of friends. My grandmother was at the Rooney home. And she was changing of diapers, all the Rooney boys, and splitting all the all the food preparation, cooking meals and things. Anyway, she was working hand in hand with Marilyn. So when I was a kid, my mom around Christmas, she would drink wine. She'd get a little buzzed. And she would start going on about how Marilyn was her baby sister and that how Hollywood had whisked her away and that they had scripted her entire history. Wow. And about how Gladys Pearl was actually our nanny in the home. She was like a domestic worker. And that, they're like, well, we know Gladys and she won't tell anybody. So, these conversations that they had, I don't know, what the motivation was behind why they would have these conversations about her being her baby sister, and they scripted her life. All I know is if you're married to Joe DiMaggio and you're dating the 35th president of the United States, that's a little controversial. So like I said, I wasn't born until after she passed away. All I can do is share with you personal conversations that I had with my family that created these projects. So that's what I can share with you. And also, what's interesting is I got clean and sober on August 7th, 2021. And when I removed everything that was blocking me from having a relationship with my brand of the Sunlight of the Spirit, I was able to follow his will. Thy will be done, not mine, and see what he'll have me be. You see, because as my will, marshaled by the human will, constantly failed, I had to, find something with which was going to remedy my situation, and that was working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I found a man whose sponsor was actually Dr. Bob himself. They called him God Shot in the program. How lucky was I to get a man of that type of facilitation? So when we did the steps in between the 12 and 12 in the big book, all of the consummation and facilitation of having you put it into action in your everyday life, all the side notes and how you're supposed to comprehend the book and the way it's written actually came from the hand of Dr. Bob. Excuse me. So how lucky was I to get that type of a man come into my life? So I was able to come to find out Joseph R. is actually one of the founding fathers of AA in Santa Clarita. He chartered a men's crosstalk meeting with the General Service Office in New York in 1991. And they still use the same placards that he built with his hands 20 years ago because I've set up for that meeting before. And that meeting is a bunch of motion picture executives, lighting people, crew members. It's not on the where and when in the book. It's one of these private meetings that you have to be invited to. Right. So how lucky was I to get a man like that to come into my life and my recovery? So I worked the 12 steps with this man. He had a spiritual experience that he passed on to me. And he transmitted that to me. And I worked the 12 steps, and it's evident. I certainly don't have any mental blank spots and no reservation to pick one up and put it in me. Because I know when I do, I differ bodily and mentally from my fellows. Right. You see, there's something in our bodies that are different than a normal temperate drinker. Like my grandfather, Jack, he was a heavy drinker. He could control and enjoy his drinking. And he created some enormous projects while drunk. And he didn't have a problem with it. He never got hungover. He was never nauseated. He never missed work. He was in charge of some enormous projects. The assistant director is the guy who makes the whole day for everyone. You see, it's not the director, but the guy putting all the projects together. And so I always wanted to be like my grandfather, wanted to control and enjoy my drinking. But I discovered I was an alcoholic. And that when I put something into my body, I'm different. Alcoholics are different. We develop the phenomenon of craving. Right. And once we develop the phenomenon of craving, one's too many and 1,000's never enough. And then guys like us go on prodigious benders. We go on spree drinking. Generally with me, criminal activity would ensue. And then it would always be jails, institution, death, and pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. So since I know I'm an alcoholic of that type, and I have those traits about myself, I have to create a defense against that first drink. And the way I did that was by working those 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I ran into a man, a God Shot in the program, whose sponsor was Dr. Bob. So how lucky was I? So I was able to work those steps and remove what was blocking me from having a relationship with my brand of the Sunlight of the Spirit. And you'll find it today in the rooms of AA if you try it and you have any type of problem. Right. And I've discovered that AA is not only a solution for drugs and alcohol, but it's also a solution for life itself. It's a design for living through going. And so it goes. I did the 12 steps, and it's evident the obsession was removed, and God has done for me what I could never do for myself. And so as I started following his will all over Los Angeles, I began a homeless outreach project. And there's an 800 number that people can call in Los Angeles during the winter months in between November and April. It's an 800 number. And once a month, the county of Los Angeles gets a bunch of motel vouchers for homeless people.
That's awesome.
And you can call the number and they'll put you in a taxi cab and get you booked in the room within about 15 minutes from the phone call. And so what I was doing is I was going about in service work of other people, going into hobo encampments, the tent cities where they're gang members and they're drug dealers and people are getting robbed, shot, and attacked. And I'm putting my life on the line with which to transmit this message to people who are at death's door. Mm-hmm. Those are the people on the streets who are still in active addiction, who are dying out there every day from fentanyl overdoses throughout the county of Los Angeles and our country. People are dying like dropping off like flies.
Yes.
So I've tried to remedy that by showing myself as, in a suggestive fashion. Hey, bro, I was that guy, but I got clean and sober, and you don't have to die from a fentanyl overdose. Right. Here's an 800 number that you can call. It will get you a free motel voucher for 5 days. Right. And mind you, 5 days gives a person enough time to get in the room, get cleaned up, get remotivated, and even gives a person enough time to get, a job interview and get paid by that Friday.
Right. Well, we know that, having an addiction, fentanyl addiction or heroin addiction, it's a very, very strong addiction, and it would take more than 5 days for an addict to overcome that, because it's a very addictive drug, So
well, I'm just talking about getting them suitable lodging. Okay. When I went through treatment at Tarzana Treatment Center, which is actually sponsored by my friend Danny Trejo. He's actually on the instructional video at Tarzana Treatment Center. That was a fabulous place to get my start. They have facilitators there that are clinical international supervisors who teach facilitators how to facilitate the 12 steps. Right. And when I came into their hands over there at Tarzana Treatment Center, my hat's off to them. It's a fabulous place. Anyone who's having a problem with addiction or drug, I highly recommend it, because that's where I went, and it's evident. I'm, a grateful, recovering, clean, and sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous now. And when I went through their treatment facility, speaking to these clinical international supervisors, they told me, Dave, man, all this stuff about dialectical behavioral therapy and cognitive thinking and therapy and all these things, man, how do you know all this stuff? He says, well, I've been around for a long time, and I've been around some fabulous people and some fabulous facilitators, and I'm here to pass my message along and transmit what I can, and put in my 2 cents and pack something positive into God's universe to try to help other people. You see, all of my projects are dedicated to restoration and preservation of our life-giving planet. Just like the one girl, she was in her car with her dog and her daughter, and she'd been in the car for 4 months. And I came out and I gave her the phone number for the motel vouchers in LA. And she says, Irish Dave, man, God bless you. She says, man, I didn't know about this. Me and my daughter and my dog have been in this car for 4 months. Man, God bless you. She got a room and got 5 days, and hopefully it improved her life. You see, so that's my type of service work. Staying in service work of other people. It says in AA, one alcoholic working with another alcoholic to achieve sobriety. Well, I go out into some very dangerous, gang-riddled areas of Los Angeles and put myself in harm's way with which to transmit the message. Right. And when I bring it back into the room of Alcoholics Anonymous and I tell the people what I do, they think I'm crazy. They think, man, this guy's nuts. He's going out there in gangland. I'm thinking, no, I'm not crazy, sir. You don't understand. This is an important project I'm on here. I'm out here saving lives. People are at death's door dropping off from fentanyl overdoses every day. That's right. So I'm out here and I don't have a problem with it. I'm out here showing these men and women out here who are at death's door dying that there is a solution. And we can get you into Tarzana Treatment Center. We can get you a motel voucher or whatever to help you detox. Get back on your road to recovery. It's all about detox, going to treatment, meetings, a sponsor, and then service work. 5 turnkey things for me, from my experience, sharing my experience. And that's what got me clean and sober. And, that's my life mission now. Watching my grandfather, Marvin Bailey, die from alcoholism. I never got to meet him, and it causing all kinds of turmoil in my life. You see, when my father interrupted my acting career, I was very resentful. And I grew up in a biker home. Meaning all of the traits of an alcoholic were instilled in me as a child. Selfishness, self-centeredness, ego, pride, obsessive compulsive, animalistic nature was instilled in me in my environment where I grew up. With my father and, his friends, and they were animals, and they sold drugs, and they hurt people. And I was subjected to all that when I was just a kid. So that, being said, I became very resentful in what my father did, interrupting my career and my grandfather's pioneering projects. So I began to put substances in my body to change the way I felt, because I was uncomfortable in my skin. So I'm going to put something in there to change the way I feel. And I graduated into selling drugs in MacArthur Park for the notorious 18th Street Gang. I got popped. I went to prison, and I did my time. And I met some riffraff people along the way, which are prison gang member generals on the yard. And their hand stretches from the prison yards to the streets. So when I go out into my street ministries in these areas, in these hoods, in these barrios in LA, they go, "Oh yeah, that's Dave. What's up, man? You're that guy. You got clean and sober?" I'm like, "Yes, sir. And you don't have to die out here." So my story carries depth and weight from my experience. And I travel and carry that message and transmit that into places where nobody else can or nobody else dare or will. Like I said, the people in LA think you're crazy going into that neighborhood over there. Well, I don't have a problem with it. Those guys have a big grin on their face when they see me. "Hey, Dave, how you been doing?"
Right.
So, that's my type of service work, And so I became resentful at my father, and I continued to follow my human will. I was going to get him back for what he did. He had 11 properties in Florida. He had a landscaping business. And so I went about biting my tongue and coming down and working for the old man, in which it's my dad. I still loved him. And I managed his properties and his business for 11 years. And so I was clean and sober for a year. So I had a girlfriend and got her pregnant with twins in her stomach. So I figured I'd have arrived in life, I'm going to finally be somebody, I'm chasing my human will. I'm going to get my father back for what he did. I'm going to inherit all the property, the business. Then I have a pregnant girlfriend on the way. I'm going to have the white picket fence, the American dream, right?
Right.
Well, I discovered my girlfriend was using drugs behind my back. And instead of going to AA and talking about it, I decided to pick one up and put it in me. And when I did, I went on a bender and I went on some spree drinking, and I wound up in the county jail lockup for 6 months for a DUI.
Oh my goodness.
So while I was locked up for a DUI, my sister came out from Vegas, who hadn't been in the picture for 30 years. "Oh, Dad, poor me, I'm the only sober one, and David's in jail for DUI, and his girlfriend's around here doing drugs, and you can't trust him. You got to put everything in my name." And so he did. He put power of attorney into her name and quick deeded all the property into her name. And my dad was a very sick man from his use of alcohol and drugs, mostly alcohol over the years, partying with his biker buddies and all that for years. Being the animal that he was, he had cirrhosis of the liver, and he had no liver function. He also had anemia, heart failure, and diabetes. And he had a big hernia coming out of his groin, the size of an NFL football that they couldn't operate on because he had no liver function. So he was just laid up in the bed. And so I had to take care of all of his projects for him, which I did. And so when I went to the jail, my girlfriend, and my hands are tied now, I'm locked up. My sister has everything quick deeded into her name, power of attorney in her name. And the only thing my dad didn't want to do was die in a hospital. He hated doctors and hospitals. Big rough and tumble biker type guy. He didn't like doctors. And he didn't want to die in a hospital. The deal was that she was supposed to let him die in his own bed. If I'm going to die, but let me die in my own bed, Rhonda. But while I was locked up, he went into a diabetic coma, and she had him put in hospice in the hospital, pumped him full of morphine, did not perform kidney dialysis, and legally murdered my father.
Oh, wow.
She then kicked my pregnant girlfriend out of the house, who got back on drugs. She began being sex trafficked. Whoever the dope boy was that she was running with forced her to have an abortion and kill my own 2 unborn children.
Oh, my goodness.
Then someone pistol whipped her. It caused a brain aneurysm that very soon thereafter developed into a cancerous tumor. And she was in Gainesville at some cancer treatment facility where she bumped into a retired canine police officer from Merritt Island who had went into remission and survived the cancer treatment. So the last time I saw her was on Messenger, and she was showing me this big bag of pills with which to deal with all the pain from the cancer tumor. And the next thing I know, her son messaged me, and he said, he says, mom committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
She got a hold of one of the policeman's firearms and blew her brains out.
Oh, my goodness. That's sad.
So consequently, business didn't go off for me well here in Florida at that time. I thought I had arrived. I thought I was going to make something of myself in my life. And because I decided to pick up one drink and put it in my body, I got locked up and put in a position where my sister could rip me off. My girlfriend went out, had an abortion, and then blew her brains out. So, I've had a lot of tragedy happen in my life in rapid succession.
Okay.
So I owe everything to AA and to the man, Joseph R. And I'm going to say his name, Joseph Russell. His sponsor was Dr. Bob. So how lucky was I to get that man to come into my life to remove those things and start following God's will, helping other people, doing the street ministry. Right. And then I start bumping into all these fabulous celebrities wherever I go. For instance, I was in Venice Beach, and I was having a burrito and a coffee, and I was talking to another gentleman about my grandfather's motion picture projects, and there was an African-American fellow over there with a ball cap on and jeans and these big glasses, and he starts looking at me, and he walks right up to me like that and takes off his glasses, and it's Chris Rock. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
How cool was that?
Hey, Chris, how you doing? Him and Damon Wayans were doing their comedy improv tour, and they just happened to be in Venice Beach the night before.
Oh, wow.
So I bumped into him, and I'm very big on fitness, too. So I'm always at Planet Fitness, 24-Hour Fitness, Gold's Gym.
I see that.
I have fitness memberships everywhere. So we had a conversation. We took some pictures together. That was a fabulous time. So I went down to Muscle Beach, and I was over there working on Muscle Beach. And I bumped into this other fellow named Zorgen Demesh. He's from Holland, and he's a personal trainer for Angelina Jolie and a lot of the other stars over the years. He was down there doing a project with his daughter.
Okay.
So I took some pictures with him. I met him. I went into Gold's Gym there in Venice. I met Big Will. These guys are, world-renowned athletes, superstars, like Big Will. He's trained with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno, all of them. So I take pictures with him. And what was interesting about working out in the gym, I meet a lot of celebrities too. Excuse me. For instance, out in California, there's a certain gym that I go to where Louis Moncada from the HBO original series Breaking Bad goes. And we work out and train together in the gym. It's a really good guy. Most awarded winning HBO series in the history of HBO original series. So real good guy. I've got pictures with him. All these people know me personally. They've met me. I've worked out in the gym with them, had intellectual conversations. We've talked about projects. They know I'm real. They know, that my passion for sobriety and helping other people is real and genuine.
Right.
And I want the whole world to know that as well. That's why I came on your show, Don Vic.
Thank you.
Another fabulous collaboration. Because I'm very outgoing. You'll see me on my Facebook platform. I'll do live unscripted shows.
I see.
Out here
You're everywhere. I love that. And
I'm not very nostalgic. I get all over the country. I did a project in Vegas, independent filmmaking, and then I worked at the Pumpkin Patch for kids for my buddy JR, who's got several projects out there. He's out there selling Christmas trees now. But I believe kids should have fun. So I was out there working the carnival rides and that, and I did a project there. Then I moved through Houston, Texas. I went to the Astrodome, all the theater districts and music districts down in Houston, Texas. Took pictures of all the fabulous sculptures and things and opera houses and things. I met a beautiful opera singer down there as well at Starbucks, and she's on my Instagram. Fabulous. So I did a project in Houston. Then I came down to Port Orange. You see, I came from nothing. And like you said, push forward, get in movie premieres and things. So I started belonging to all these different television and actors entertainment groups on the internet. And I met this fabulous model, fashion model, super fashion model named Shen Jane. She owns Wow Magazine over in Africa. It's in 150 different countries, and it reaches 50 million viewers. So she invited me to her Lady Trillion movie premiere at the Man's Chinese Theater, which I gladly accepted the offer and was there. And let me rewind this because it's interesting what happened at the movie premiere. After I met Louis Moncada in the gym, I went to Starbucks. And this is where I met the great Felipe Lawrence Duran and Hannah Costera, who are married now. And they have what's entitled the Wonder Earth Rescue. They're motion picture directors that are dedicated to saving our planet's animals. And so what's interesting about that is my grandfather not only was a motion picture director pioneer, but he also built and designed with his hands the Shambhala Wildlife Preserve for the actress Tippi Hedren from The Birds with Alfred Hitchcock, Melanie Griffith's mother. And my grandmother was best friends with Tippi, as they both retired and lived in Acton. On Sundays after church, my grandmother used to bring me over to Tippi's Shambhala Wildlife Preserve, and we would have lunch. So my grandfather created that. That wildlife preserve is a pioneering wildlife preserve. Anyone in the world who wants to build a wildlife preserve, they take a look at the Shambhala Wildlife Preserve first. Just like Tora. Anybody wants to make a war film, they look at Tora first. So my grandfather was a pioneer of that. So when I bumped into Felipe and Hannah by chance coming out of the gym, Louis Moncada, I sat down at their director's table with them, and I watched them direct their motion pictures and how Felipe operated, and it was brilliant. It's very difficult to, bring all those different projects together. So it was fascinating, and went there for 2 days. I went back the next day and sat down with them again, and so they invited me to their wedding, which was very private. And I went and took some pictures and did some filming, and I met some other fabulous movie stars there. Well, I didn't know that they were action heroes and things. I just thought it was their family. So I sat down like family with them, and talked, and, we talked about projects, and it was a fabulous wedding and everything, and about the Wonder Earth Rescue, about how my grandfather created the Shambhala Wildlife Preserve for Tippi Hedren and that. And so when I went to this movie premiere with Shen Jane, I'm there at the movie premiere, and some of the people from the wedding, from Felipe and Hannah's wedding, all of a sudden they just showed up. They says, "Hey, Dave, how you doing?" So this was Charlie Chiasi and his sister, and they're friends from France. Charlie Chiasi is a martial arts choreographer in a French film entitled The Last Bullet. It's a mixture in between the French Connection, The Bourne Supremacy, and Jean-Claude Van Damme, all mixed in one. It's a fabulous movie. I believe the plot has something to do with the government and the mob, and they're having a power struggle or something. And Charlie and all of his friends are dressed up in these big black trench coats, and they have all these martial arts swords and things, and they will mess you up. They're a tough crew of guys.
So let me so what inspiring message can you give the viewers, because we're running out of time here? What inspiring message could you give the viewers that are watching?
Stay clean and sober, follow the will of the living creator, and your life can be changed too. He has led me into all these networking, direction, collaboration extravaganzas. Not my will, his will. So if you follow the will of the living creator, just like I did, my method was to, work the 12 steps, create that relationship, and then follow his will. I've been meeting all these fabulous people along the way. And being as who I am, they love me. They love my grandfather's work. They love what I'm about. They know I'm genuine, and they want to work with me. So like you were saying earlier on your show about pushing forward, meeting people, getting yourself out there. That's what you need to do.
Okay.
So that would be the inspiration for the day. And I would like to end with inviting you to go to my visionforearth.org. What it is it's a proposition for a Magna Carta for the world. I was at the Freemasonic Lodge at one of their Tuesday dinners, bi-monthly dinners, and I told them what I want to do. And then, I was at the gym, and I bumped into a fellow who knew some fellows from the lodge, and he turned me on to this Vision for Earth platform that he created, and he gave it to me. He said, "We love your idea and what you want to do, Dave, so we're going to give you this platform." This platform was built and mirrored and pioneered after what was Prince Charles of England, who is now King of England now. It has everything from stopping elephant poaching to Greenpeace to a method which to promote and put into action restoration and preservation of our life-giving planet and its animals.
Okay.
So that's what I'm all about, making the world a better place for everyone. So if you go to my site on my Facebook and Instagram platform, I don't charge people a penny for promoting them alongside my grandfather's creation, Delicious Breeze. Everybody loves it. Everyone wants a piece of it. And I freely give away what I've discovered, because we have to give away what we got to keep what we got. So that's what I do. My grandfather did the same thing. He created projects. He didn't care what people did with them, because that's what he did. He created projects with which to ensure gainful employment for the entire entertainment community year in and year out for the past 100 years. As again, his projects date back to the early Charlie Chaplin days, him and Walt Disney. Okay. So I would, encourage you to go to my friend Ben Myers, who wrote this, and he's also my computer guy. And go to visionforearth.org and take a look at our mantra. And it's got a remedy of natural resources of electric and solar with which to restore and promote restoration and preservation of our life-giving and planet and its animals on all natural resources. It's already set in place. All we have to do is be like little busy bees in a hive or an ants, working together to put these projects into action. Right. Because our world is in trouble. We have, damaged the ecosystem to the point to where it's almost irreversible. Right. So this mantra has a remedy for those situations that cancer our planet. And it has electric and solar energy sources that we have. All we have to do is implement that and put them into action with which to save our planet, sir. So you only live once. And things like this, by following the will of the living creator, I bumped into all these people, and it's all just dropped right into my lap. So I'm promoting that. Restoration and preservation of our life-giving planet and its animals. And motion picture directors and actors, saving our planet's animals and all of our natural resources. This is a life-giving planet. Right. It has water, it has air, things grow here, it's alive. It's very important. And we need to, restore it and preserve it. So that's what my motto is: restoration and preservation of our life-giving planet and its animals. Okay. Well, and I'm here to tell you the truth. Anytime you want me on your radio show or anybody else does, that would be great. I could also use donations with which to fund my friend Ben Myers, who created the visionforearth.org, to continue to expand it. Because if you log on to Vision for Earth, you can sign up and you can have your own copy of it for yourself. So you can, give freely whatever you think, that the world would be a better place. Put in your 2 cents on the mantra. You can have your own mantra for free. So what I've discovered, we freely give away. However, that's awesome. We do need money for the project. So if anybody could donate, that'd be great. Right.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. You had a great story, Dave. It was nice meeting you. We'll talk we'll talk more further in the future, and yeah, definitely bring you back in a couple months and see what you up to, and have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you soon.
And I love you, Don. I love all
Love
the
you.
viewers out here that are watching around the world.
Thank you.
And I want to wish everyone a very fabulous Christmas. And if nobody told you today, Jesus loves you.
Amen. Thank you, Dave. See you soon.
All right, Vic. God bless, man. And
Likewise.
all the prosperity for your show and all the health and prosperity for you and your family and everyone out there. I wish everyone to have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
All
God
right.
bless you.
All right. Well, people, that was David Peace. Great guy. Great story, guys. Wow. This guy has so much to say. It's incredible how give me 1 second, folks. I was in the dark. Jesus, the sun came down too quick. So anyway, great guy. I want to thank him. Thank David Peace for coming on the show. Thank Jonathan for getting the device going. And I want to thank all you guys for tuning in, showing love to the Don Big Show. Again, Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope to see you guys in 2023. I got some great guests coming on 2023. I'm already setting up the interviews. So tune in. It's going to be a great year. I got a lot of stuff going on for 2023. Movie galas, premieres that I'll be going to. So just tune in and follow me. And remember to share, because sharing is caring. And, and I'll see you guys soon. All right. So thank you for watching. It's your boy Don Rick from the Don Rick Show. Peace, love, respect, and I'm out of here.